Greetings. This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. Let's take a look at some of the beliefs that the hero, or the person who's aligned with his or her true self, came to believe along the way that helped him or her become the hero. Please excuse the shorthand as I refer to the hero in this message as he. In each case, I mean he or she. In some of the other excerpts from this book, A Heroic Life, I will refer to the hero as she. An important belief that the hero holds is that you are given what you need to evolve. The hero discovered that, at every turn, no matter how challenging, he was given the inner and outer resources, assistance, opportunities, ideas, inspiration, wisdom, and motivation he needed to overcome any challenge and grow stronger as a result. The hero came to recognize that every challenge was designed for his growth and had within it the potential for a successful outcome, and that it was up to him to make it successful. The hero understood that the measure of success was whether he became wiser, more compassionate, more skillful, and a better human being. The belief that every experience is designed especially for you, for your growth, is a powerful reframing of the way the ego generally sees reality, and it is the truth. Seeing this about life allows you to make the most of every situation and to maintain a positive attitude throughout. With this perspective, there can be little suffering, even under quite difficult circumstances. Your attitude toward a challenge determines your experience of it and how difficult it will be for you. Some people sail through difficulties that break others. How you fare during tough times depends mostly on your attitude. It is that important. Beliefs are important because one's attitude is grounded in beliefs. They determine your attitude. When you believe an experience is designed for you, you see it as good, even if it's difficult. To the hero, challenges aren't defined as bad or even difficult necessarily, and scary stories that would undermine the hero's courage aren't told. It is all good is the hero's mantra, and so he embraces the challenges he's been given. That acceptance grants the hero access to the other qualities of the divine self needed to navigate the challenge, such as courage and equanimity. From the perspective of your divine self, all is truly good. There is no duality. The problem with the ego's perspective is that if you hold a negative story or belief about life, you'll experience life as you believe it to be. Then accessing the good in an experience and the inner strengths you need to get through it will be much more difficult. Believing that your experiences are designed for your growth wouldn't do any good if this weren't also the truth. If challenges didn't actually develop your strengths and wisdom, then simply believing that wouldn't make it so. Beliefs can't change reality, even though they change one's experience of it. To be helpful, beliefs have to reflect reality accurately. The hero also believes in following his heart, his bliss. He's discovered that life does come with a manual of sorts, and that manual is the heart. It tells you how to live your life. The way the heart communicates this is through certain feelings produced by the heart. The feelings the hero follows are not the same as emotions, which are byproducts of the ego and its negative thoughts. The heart's feelings, such as joy and peace, are not feelings in the way that sadness and anger are. Joy, peace, love, compassion, delight, awe, gratitude, and contentment don't come from the ego, but from the divine self, which is guiding you. In every moment, you're being guided by intuitions from the subtle realm, and also by these feelings that come from the heart. The heart's feelings are less subtle than intuitions, but more subtle than the emotions of the conditioned self. Not feeding and acting out the usual emotions takes discipline, inner strength, and maturity. It's not easy to resist the path of least resistance, but the hero has discovered that it must be resisted. He's learned that negative emotions interfere with his goals of happiness, love, peace, and self-mastery. These goals come first over the temporary relief of releasing emotions thoughtlessly. The hero follows the higher feelings of the divine self instead. When he does that, life goes well, while indulging emotions causes all kinds of troubles. The hero has learned to choose his path wisely. He chooses a path that may require discipline, but takes him where he wants to go. The hero also goes where he wants to go. That may sound obvious, but many people don't go where they want to go, but where they think they should go. Some people believe they have to do certain things whether they want to or not. This way of thinking might apply to brushing your teeth and eating well, but living your life a certain way because you think you have to or should is no way to live. The hero knows this and makes choices that lead to being happy. He follows his bliss. And that is as it's meant to be. You are meant to be happy, so naturally the way to happiness is to do what makes you happy. When bliss is the path, then bliss is the result. Shoulds and can'ts are what usually interfere with following one's bliss. These words point in the wrong direction, and yet they're so prevalent in the vocabulary of the thought stream. Does this mean that the ego is out to make people unhappy? Not really. It's just that the ego doesn't know about happiness. It was built for safety, and safety and happiness are different goals, although not necessarily mutually exclusive. If you listen only to the ego, you'll probably gain safety, but you're likely to lose happiness. If you listen to the heart, you'll have both. Your divine self has every intention of keeping you safe, unless it has purposely designed the opposite experience for you, in which case you can't do anything to avoid that challenge anyway. Regardless, even with any unsafe situation, you are safe, since you're given every resource you need to handle it and grow from it, as long as you don't fall prey to the ego's negativity and fear. The hero trusts the heart more than the mind. He follows the heart's guidance even when doing so doesn't make sense to the mind. What makes sense to the mind is whatever is assumed to bring greater safety, security, comfort, wealth, recognition, pleasure, or power. This leaves out a lot of valuable things. What about love, peace, creativity, fun, fulfillment, growth, wisdom, compassion, patience, inner strength, all of the things that are developed by challenges and valued by the divine self? There are times when safety, security, pleasure, wealth, and other things the ego values must be sacrificed for what is of true value. If you seem to be being asked by life to sacrifice something, try to focus on what you might be gaining instead. Life is so benevolent that there is no time when you're asked to sacrifice in which you don't also gain. Every sacrifice or loss has within it a gain or win, if not immediately, then farther down the road. The hero looks to what is gained, not what is lost. This brings us to the next belief the hero has found helpful. Losses are only apparent and temporary. Everything is temporary. Few things could be said about life that is truer than this statement. The mind says no when things it wants go, but coming and going is the way of life. There can be no coming without going. If not, this world would be a very crowded place. Everything has a lifespan, and when that lifespan is over, something else comes into being to take its place. This endless march of change is neither right nor wrong, good nor bad, as the mind likes to declare. It is simply as it is, and therefore as it's meant to be. The hero has learned that declaring something good or bad, or right or wrong, is a waste of energy. The hero accepts the comings and goings of life gracefully. He has seen that arguing with life, or wishing it to be otherwise, does no good. Acceptance is the only rational response to the changeability of life. That acceptance helps the hero access other qualities he needs to cope with the challenges involved in change. Because the mind is programmed to suffer in times of loss, it takes diligence to not indulge in the faulty perceptions and negative emotions that try to take hold. Without a willingness to accept a loss and acknowledge its rightness in the scheme of things, suffering prevails. One faulty perception, so embedded in language that it's difficult to recognize, is the idea of loss. The word loss appears to be simply a description of reality, but it's actually a story. It depicts something that's no longer here as lost or a loss, giving the natural leaving of something a negative emotional spin. This is the ego's point of view, and only half the picture, since something is also coming to fill the vacuum. Language is quite insidious this way. More often than not, it perpetuates the egoic point of view. This is one reason many spiritual traditions have included silence as a spiritual practice. Being silent helps you disengage from language, and therefore the usual way of perceiving things. When language stops, you cease parsing the world into dualities, such as good and bad, and you can more easily disengage from feelings and preferences, all of which lead to resisting life as it is. With every feeling you have, you're saying yes to something and no to something else. The same is true with preferences and desires. Language such as good and bad and I like and I don't like divides the world into what you want and don't want. Then, when life shows up in a way you don't like, you suffer. By wanting life to look a certain way, you cause your own suffering. The hero has seen how such dualities and desires create suffering, and how suffering wouldn't exist without them. All suffering comes from the thought stream, and we could just as well say from language. This is why the hero detaches himself from the thought stream as much as possible and limits conversation, especially of an egoic nature. This may sound radical, but he's discovered that if you want to be in the world but not of it, some silence is necessary, since language draws you into the misperceptions created by language. Those misperceptions are the faulty map, and the hero knows that the faulty map leads to suffering and away from the treasure at his core. Importantly, he sees that there's a choice to be made: to agree with the world's misperceptions by allowing language to determine his perceptions, or to question the misperceptions embedded in language. The kingpin of language is the word I. The hero doesn't believe what comes after that word. Those definitions attempt to put him into a box, to make him into a thing, when his true self is closer to being nothing than to being a thing, and this nothingness is powered by love. Love is the stuff he and all of life is made of. Consciousness is love. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, and creation is an expression of this love. The Father is this love and represents the intelligence that seeded this and every other universe, and continues to guide creation lovingly. No matter how absent love may seem within human endeavors, it remains ever present, immutable, and unstoppable. It is the constant that underlies and fuels the universe, and it is the ever-available resource you've been given to support you on this human journey. In myths and legends, the hero often comes into possession of a magical sword or some other magical item to get him through the direst of times. Love is that sword. It vanquishes evil, mends hearts, pierces through illusion, and redeems the hero. Love is also the magical harp or trumpet that summons supernatural forces to assist the hero. And love is the genie that bestows all wishes. Love is the magic each of you has been given to help you on your way. The hero learned about love by noticing how life works or doesn't work. The hero noticed that when he was kind, life worked, and when he wasn't kind, life didn't work. The hero noticed that whenever he gave something or someone his full attention, love flowed, and then he was happy and others were happy. The hero noticed that love is receptive and patient, and when he was receptive and patient, others loved him and came to his aid. The hero noticed that when he did what he loved doing, he was happy, and he became better at it easily. The hero noticed that when he was loving and happy, others were attracted to him and wanted to be around him and be good to him. The hero noticed that when he behaved lovingly, he was happy, and when he didn't behave lovingly, he wasn't happy. The hero noticed that when he forgave others, he stopped suffering and was able to move on and love again. The hero also noticed that when he forgave himself, he was able to move on and love himself again. The hero noticed that giving love felt better than receiving it. The hero noticed that he could choose to love anyone or anything, and then love would flow from him. He learned there was a fountain of love available within himself, which never went dry, and so he realized that feeling loving, and therefore feeling happy, was always in his power. The hero noticed that if he let love, excitement, and joy lead him, he would be happy and find his way to greater love, peace, and happiness. He discovered that love is both the path and the reward of following the path. The hero had to conclude that there was something very special about love, perhaps more special than anything else. So he aligned himself with love. The more he acted in accordance with love, the happier he became, and the better his life worked out. Love works magic. Thank you for being here. I am with you always.